Hello, this is Ki with RunScore. Today I'll be covering the folder types and the file types that are on your hard drive after you've installed RunScore. The first most important thing is we highly recommend that you install RunScore on the base hard drive for your system. This, in most cases, will be your local drive C. Once it's installed, you will have several race folders that are on the standard installation. The advanced race samples are race samples that I have created that give you a better starting point and more robust capabilities under RunScore for more of the experienced users or as you get more comfortable with the program. The other is the sample races. These are a simple starting point to give you a place to go to build on for your race as you start out with RunScore. The next thing we'll find in there is the client folder. This has the Bugsplat program. This allows you to send information to RunScore directly in case of a crash or major problem. The Bugsplat window will come up. Please put in your email address the first time, and if you please take the time to put a short note in what happened or what were you doing when the crash occurred, and send it. The primary file in the client directory is the RunScore client executable. The RunScore client is a thin client that allows you to run several instances of client using the primary database and program on RunScore server. The common folder has the age-graded files. We'll talk about those in the future. The check sex is a capability to compare first names against the sexes and identify possible wrong sex information. The other thing is the zip code database, which allows you to do a lookup in a race on zip code to fill in the city and the state. At this time, I highly recommend you create a new folder. We're going to call it simply Save. And when we set that up in the RunScore preferences, we'll cover this more later. You have a location to have an alternate folder to save your results and an alternate folder to save your entries. This can save your bacon in the future. Next thing I'm going to do is here I've added a subfolder called Races. This just is a depository for all my races. Again, we have the Bugsplat program here to be able to send error messages and reports to us to help figure out what went wrong with your a crash or a serious problem. The BMP or bitmap files, this is the RunScore client. This is just the screens for the client. This is the one for the server. rsserver.chm is the help files. The server.exe is the executable. The runscore.css is a basic set of cascading style sheets that allows you to make a prettier or better looking HTML every time you try to build an HTML report in RunScore. The next thing is the RunScore Basics. It's just a simple starting. We don't like to call it RunScore for Dummies, but it is a good starting point to use RunScore. The uninstall allows you to uninstall the program from here without having to go to the start menu on Windows. The cross-country timer DLL is a a set of DLLs or instructions that allows a better interface with the Summit timer. It's a handheld timer like the Time Machine, but it's uses AA batteries, allows you to do a lot more on that without having the printer. Once we get into the races, we're going to open up our race. The files that we're looking at, this entries.css is another cascading style sheet with more information for specific just to this race, the 5K. The entries DDD is a backup of the last time we saved or made changes, major changes to the entries.dta. This is the actual database that we're using for RunScore. The entries.fff is the backup anytime we make changes to the entries.frm. The FRM file is the format file that invokes or lets us use the DTA for the information in RunScore. The next set of files do not have an extension, and these are just called normally in listing files to provide information in a listing file or a report. The awards header provides a format for no page numbers, no total, and the header, it just provides a simple header for the awards listing file. We get down into the FN2. This is the format file for the event or results screen announce. FN2 is all the bib numbers and relational information for the records in RunScore. The FNA is if in those preferences we set up to save bibs in ASCII. Those are just simply the ASCII file that gives you a nice text file of all the bib numbers that have been entered or read into that event. The GRU, do not worry about now. Those are reference files that are used later when we upload to specific results sites like Run Sign Up, Race Roster, or others. You don't deal with those other than in the background. The INI files are the files that we create that give us the initial settings for all sorts of functions in RunScore. The primary one we're going to be dealing with is the entries.ini. This will be covered in a separate video, but this is kind of the repository of shortcuts and everything else in the RunScore to make your life a lot easier. The next files we deal with are the listing files. In this one, the awards all is a listing file. It's an @ file, so this is actually a macro listing file. This will call the RunScore macro or the RSM file that gives you a capability of inputting information in the macro file for certain settings to be passed to the RSM file to give you a lot more latitude in results and printouts. We will be covering those in the future on a little bit more of programming, and the programming primer will help you a little bit in the background. This is the actual place where we use RunScore scripting to do all of the reports and functions we need to under RunScore. We get down to CSV files, they are simply comma separated value files that we've created a report or something else on, and they'll be there for us to use. The RSMs, those are those RunScore macro files that call the values from the at file to produce reports or functions. The next thing we're going to run into are the time functions for those result screens or events in RunScore. For our event called announce, this is TM4 is the time, shows the times that are linked to those bib numbers or record numbers in the DTA. The text files are simply that. They're called or used in other places just for information as a simple text file. You can have any extension you want that is not a reserved extension. Here, for my event list, WHL, it is an event list that we call the events and functions for the wheelchair. We'll again spend some time looking under the programming primer or RunScore basics to see what an event list is. The XML is the extensible markup language. It's a structured info or data configuration that's used in several things in RunScore to give you better functions. If we look at the one for the events, it just has all of the settings we need in the event files to use to score the race. These are a simple coverage of the files. Hopefully you understand a little bit more of the structure of RunScore. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us at support, and we will be covering additional fields or capabilities in future videos. Thank you and have a nice day.